This week on the OneCast, we are once again joined by National Professional Fishing League angler Dylan Freez. We're going to go through part 2 of his journey to the NPFL.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's going to be a bad day.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the OneCast. We got a great episode. This is part 2. If you're listening to last week's, we had Dylan Freez on, who's National Professional Fishing League Pro. We're going to bring him on again. But before we do, because he's got a lot more of a story to tell us, his journey to the NPFL. But before we do that, we want to give a shout out to those who support us the most. And that would be OneCast Fishing. Head on over to OneCastFishing.com. Use the code TheOneCast, all one word, at checkout. Get your hands on those snagless jigs, weedless neds, soft plastics, and all the merch and stuff like that. And support Ben over there at OneCast Fishing. We're getting ready to rock some of those bad boy Nighthawks here at this national championship that Pete and I have with the Fishers and Men. So hopefully we can bring some great content. Get your hands on those Nighthawks, man. He's got 2 new colors. And after that, head on over to CarolinaWatersNC.com. Use the code TheOneCast. Get your hands on those hats, those buffs, those gloves, all the shirts that they have. I'm rocking one right now. It's been sunny and 75 out here, so make sure you stay protected from those UV rays and look cool on the water. What else do we need to go?
Yeah, from there you can head to HobieEyewear.com. Unless you want to save some money, then use the link that is in all of our profile descriptions we posted around. That's going to save you some change on a pair of Hobie eyewears or 10. Make sure you use that link to save a couple bucks. Grab a pair of those floating frames. Whatever lens color you prefer, but definitely grab a pair of Sightmasters. It is going to make you highly effective in low light situations, even bed fishing when others can't see fish. You are going to be able to see those fish. So make sure you head there, HobieEyewear.com, or if you want to save money, use the link that is in the description on all of our socials. Ben, we just repartnered.
Yeah,
we did. We just repartnered with Deep Dive. We absolutely love their app, and we encourage you all. In fact, we're telling you all to go on your phone.
That's an order.
Yeah, exactly. That's an order.
That's an order.
A lawful order too. So make sure you go on your phones, download the Deep Dive app, take advantage of the free trial, but then go ahead and up with a subscription. I've actually got it pulled up on my phone right now. I'm looking at Ray Roberts Lake, where the Bassmaster Classic.
The whole thing's red with
just wrapped up. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the wind effects right now. I mean, the entire thing is danger red.
Yeah.
I guess, going up to 40 miles an hour right now. But, on there, they've got water clarity, stream flow rates. They include the current flow in and out of the lake. They've got the best areas, best baits, different patterns to potentially use. So it's a great tool as if you're a tournament angler to help plan your strategy when you go out and practice and to make adjustments. It's great if you're just going out fun fishing and you want to put more fish in the boat and you want to spend a little less time trying to find them and more time catching them.
That's right.
If you're looking for a home or land in Central North Carolina, make sure you hit up our friend Terry Carpenter, licensed NC Realtor at Caldwell Banker, Howard Perry, and Walston. Terry will help you find the home of your dreams. He's a bass fisherman, a fisherman. He knows what we're looking for in a home, which means a garage to fit our boat in. He also will, talk to your significant other and make sure that he finds what's important to them. Terry does this full time. It's his job. He's going to work hard to find the house of your dreams and treat you like family. You can get with him at Carpenter at hpw.com, or you can go to our links in the social. Our link tree is linked to his, and all of his contact info is there. So make sure you check out Terry. And that's it. We're working on one more. We have a potential new partner coming on here soon. So hopefully we can announce that to all of you. Super excited.
Well, hey, look, it's not easy getting partners.
It's not
in the social media podcast world, whatever you want to say. So the ones that we do have, we're very proud of. We're very proud to rock their logos on our jerseys. It's the least that we can do, with OneCast Fishing and Terry Carpenter and Hobie and all the ones that we talked about. It's not easy, man. And there's a lot of people out there gunning for the same deals that you have. And so Pete talked about it. We're working on a non-endemic, not in the fishing world at all. And somebody that we've been doing business with for over 10 years. But here's the reality. Like, the economy's tough. Money is tight, and so you got to do what you got to do. But if people have faith in you and they believe in what you stand for, maybe they'll stand behind you. So that's what we're working on right now. We're really proud to have all the partners we currently have. and hopefully we'll bring you something new here soon.
Yeah.
So do that recap, Pete. Oh, go ahead. Were you going to do something?
I was just going to say, just know that we have turned down several money-making opportunities because it's not a product we use or a product we trust. And it's probably something we would never use. So if we are advertising for them, it's something that we personally use and we believe in. We're not just here. This isn't a moneymaker for any of us, and probably never will be. If it is some, maybe we'll be maybe it'll be the Joe Rogan of fishing someday, but that's probably not likely. So just check out our partners if you can and support them, because they're sticking their necks out there to help us continue to do this for all of you. So Dylan, if you listened to last week's episode, then you're up to speed a little bit. If you didn't, go back and listen to that before you listen to this one. You'll get to hear about Dylan's journey into bass fishing, his fall out of bass fishing, rock bottom, and then, the fight back and back into it now. And we're going to bring him on here in a second. We're going to talk about the National Professional Fishing, the National Professional Fishing League. Don't even edit that out, Barry. I just had a seizure. I think
that was pretty awesome.
The National Professional Fishing League, his journey there to the league. We talked briefly about how he kind of found them. We'll probably have him tell that again, run through his rookie season and talk about this year and his thoughts on the league, because he fished the opens. He's fished some other tournament trails, so he's got some experience with some of the bigger. I shouldn't say bigger. Some of the other tournament series in fishing. I think it's hard to not put the league up there with BASS and MLF. If you look at the people, the quality of anglers fishing it, the payouts, all of that, they're kind of right there on par. So we're going to go ahead and bring Dylan on, unless you two have anything else that you want to talk about real quick. No, we're good.
No, but have you noticed I'm getting that good sunglass tan?
I have
going on.
Yeah, I mean, you don't work, so.
I mean, I don't work anymore, so I got that Hobie sunglass tan on. But hey, enough of that. Dylan Freez, everyone, back on for part 2.
You're not gonna be able to see him for a second because I can. There we go. What's going on, man?
What's up?
What up? You guys good?
Yeah, we're all good to go.
We're good. I had a little mini stroke there for a second, but we got her back down.
Don't edit that out.
Speaking of tongues over here.
He's not
as many times as we've said the National Professional Fishing League, you think it would just roll off the tongue. But when you're rolling and trying to say it, it is kind of a tongue twister.
It is not an easy thing to say, right?
No.
The National Professional Fishing League. I feel like Brad and all of them did it on purpose.
For moments like that.
Because if you go to NPFL.com, it's the Nigerian Professional Football League. So you got to go to the.
Yeah. And each one of the socials is a little different. Some are NPFL,
I feel like Brad, you're just messing with us, bro. But anyways, Dylan, man, we're glad to have you back on. We told all the listeners before we brought you on to go back and listen to last week's episode if they didn't. And so now we want to talk about your journey. And Pete said it at the beginning, how you learned about the NPFL, and then let's go from there.
Yeah. So to go back, I don't think Brad messes with anybody though. We're gonna check that.
Don't be scared of Brad.
No, I ain't scared of homeboy. Don't play around.
Do we need to put a disclaimer in there that those are solely our opinions and
to not reflect
Dylan's opinions?
No, I love Brad, dude. He's hard to get. You can't really bother him, and if you do, you done went too far, So
yeah, sure. Yep.
But no, So, what do you say? Getting into the league? Is that where we're at?
Yeah. How'd you hear about it?
Yeah. How'd you find out, and how'd you go about joining the National Professional Fishing League? See, it's not that hard, Pete.
Yeah. So I just tell my buddies. I just call it the league. It's just easier. Just the league. It rolls easier. So I think I touched about it in the last one. Or maybe we just talked about it behind camera. So when I got back into everything, and I was like, I'm not gonna. I can't do this piddle paddle shit around home anymore. I don't like doing it. So my buddy Randy Kukrow, who fished the league, I don't know if it was the inaugural. Yeah, what is this, year 5 or 4? 5?
Year 5.
Yeah. So Randy, I think, fished the first year.
A year or two. I think he fished twice.
He fished the first 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had followed him, on Facebook and stuff. And like I said, I was so out of touch with everybody and everything at that point that, I didn't really reach out to him at the time. And then, so I always kind of knew that it was something new, but I never really dug into it. And because it was kind of like, I'm not going to lie, back, I never, when I was fishing and even while I was out of it, like bass was it. Like even, and that sounds crazy. Like, dude, when I was even fishing the opens and growing up, I didn't even look at FOW. And I know that sounds crazy, but I just wasn't an FOW guy. I wasn't I didn't follow it. I wasn't around people that fished it. Like
same. I was.
And I'm never going to be, I would never shoot any of them guys down. Cause there's so many amazing fishermen they're just good, but like, I just didn't watch it. So, but when I saw NPFL, I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I was like, what's this? Like a pay to play thing? Cool. Like this is something I could do one day. Cause and I just kind of, it wasn't a thought. It was kind of just like in my head, like, yeah, right. If you ever want to get back into it, so I, like I said, when I got back into fishing and doing everything again, I was at the first federation. We had federation in Ohio that year, the Bass Nation, not federation. I always call it federation. But the Bass Nation was like a March tournament. It was real shitty weather. And saw Randy, and I hadn't seen Randy in a decade, 10 years probably. Last time I saw him, we were fishing an open in Florida. I went up to him. I gave him a big hug. I said, hey, man, I'm proud of everything, because Randy's doing excellent in the workplace, man. And told him about, I was proud of everything he's done. We come from being kids, man. Last time I seen him, we were in our late teens and early 20s. And but I always knew I had followed that. And so after that year was over, and I'm like, I got to do something. I said, he was the first guy I reached out to. And I said, hey, what do you think about the league? Are you going to fish it again? Because I don't know. And then he sent me a text. I think, I don't quote me on it. Something about, if you do, I do. Well, hey, bro. Anybody knows me, man.
It was a good time.
Hey, in any fashion of life, you tempt me with something, I'm gonna do it. Regardless of if I could be holding on by a thread. I'm gonna try it. So I was like, you know what? Sitting home one night, and I'm like, here come the ad popped up. Now accepting applications. You know what? They weren't even yet. I take that back. It was middle of the season. It was like June or July. F it. I'm gonna fill it out. And I filled it out, and I, on my phone, and time went by, and I didn't think about nothing. I text Randy as soon as I got done. I said, hey, I sent my application in. And he's like, are you serious? I said, yeah. He's like, well, shit. All right. I was like, don't let me down, bro. But in all honesty, I didn't think I was going to get an opportunity at the time. Sorry, I got to clean that off. It's a little foggy. But so, yeah, I don't know. This was, like I said, June or July when I did that.
But hey, hold on a minute. You said, don't let me down. Who are you saying? Did Randy tell you?
Because he's like, if you do it, I'll do it. I'll fish again.
Okay.
And because I think he was coming off of an off year, or that was the year prior.
Yeah.
He had stepped away.
And this was back in 2023, right? June 2023.
2022, right?
No, it was 23. It was 23. No,
oh yeah, because your first season was 24/6.
Yeah. So, and time kind of went on, and obviously Randy got married and has a family now, and he's running a really big company, and
shooting giant deer.
Yeah, shooting. I mean, the guy doesn't get enough credit for that. I mean,
giant deer.
Yeah, 3
What's
in a
he
row.
shot? 3 200-inch deer, 3 years in a row.
I don't know. The one he had in front of him this year shook his antlers on the last day of season.
I saw his story.
I'm not positive. I don't think I ever saw the score on it, but close enough, right? But
yeah.
So obviously he
a 10-pounder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he didn't fish, and or he didn't sign up. He's like, man, I don't think I got it in me right now. And all right, man, whatever. I haven't even gotten a response at this point. I'm gonna tell everybody right now, I got in purely on the grace of God. So it's now November, 5 months later. And for some reason, I just happened to get on my email. I checked my spam folder, and I had an email from Brad and an email from Michelle. And they were addressed to a certain amount of anglers. I don't want to say too much, but I don't know if it was a waiting list or just, hey, we're going to accept some guys, but we're going to need to dig into who you are and probably make some phone calls before we let you in. Because obviously I don't have a name. I'm not Gerald Swindle or, any of these guys. So it basically said to me, they said we're accepting 17 out of 172 applications.
Wow.
And that was to fill the field, I think. And financially, I was I knew that I could afford to do it. It was more or less, I got to go have a conversation with my mother, my father, my wife, everybody that this is going to affect, right?
Yeah.
Because I have 2 children at this point. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old at this point. This is before their 5th birthday. So, and I have a business at home that is detrimental that I'm around, or at least, schedule things right when I'm gone. And so all these things went into consideration in my head. And so I told Jess, I said, hey, Jess is my fiance. I said, I was in the room and I busted out and I said, hey, just got this email. And I'm ecstatic, right? Because I'm thinking this opportunity don't come around a lot. So then it was it wasn't even an hour. I called my mom and I said, hey, I need to talk to you guys tomorrow. And she's like, okay. And I told her why. And I went over there, and me and my dad, like I said, you guys, if you watch the first podcast, we a little rocky sometimes. And so communication is sometimes tough. And so I get there and I'm like, hey, look, my mom already knew the deal. And I said, I'm not asking for anything right now. I need to know what you guys think. And my dad looked at me and was like, pardon my French, because you fucking crazy? Why would you turn it down? And I'm like, that's all I needed. That was it.
Yep.
I said, okay. So at this point now it's November and I got 5 weeks to come up with $6,000 for a deposit.
Yeah.
And at the time I'm winter, I pour concrete for a living. So, from now,
winter's not great.
From now to November, I might have $100,000 in the bank. But dude, come December, bro, that shit goes quick. So, bills pile up and work slows down. So, I'm like, hey, we're gonna figure this out. And my mom's like, do what you got to do. Send the email back and tell them you're in. Well, I think I sent Brad an email and I said, I'm like, oh my God. Cause it was they didn't even give us 48 hours to respond. They're like, we got to have your money here. And this is when the cutoff line is. And cause I had opened the email late from when I had received it. I don't even know when I got it. At that point, I'm just going 100 mile an hour. And I'm like, all right. So I didn't even talk to Brad, didn't talk to Michelle personally at the time. Dude, I just went, there's my $6,000. Take it. And it cleared. And I'm like, I guess I'm in, and then I should back up. So in that window, in that day window where I talked to my family, I talked to my best friend, Nick, and I said, man, I don't know if I'm there again yet. I don't want to turn this down, but and I was like, it's just really fast again. And, he said, dude, you can worry about that when you get there. He's like, if you're not killing yourself financially and you can figure it out, he goes, I know you're a good fisherman. He goes, you you worry about it when you get there, and
Yep.
and he told me, he said, I'll never forget it. He's like, it ain't what if I suck, or what if I get my ass kicked, or what if I don't perform? It's the what if you don't join, or what if you're always wondering what if, or what if,
Yep.
just you may never get this chance again, is what he told me. And in retrospect now, he was 100% right. So then I called Bill Owen and I said, Bill, I'm going to fish the NPFL. What do you think? And he's like, what do you mean? What do I think? He goes, you'd be an idiot not to fish it. Let Bill Owen. And I was like, all right, well, I'm like, everybody's on board. My wife's just like kind of shrugged her shoulders at the time. She's like, do it makes you happy, And so we went with it. And then our first tournament was at Logan Martin and at the last week of February. So I got 2 months to I don't have sponsors. I got to figure out a lot. Right. And we rolled right into it, man. And it was a tense 2 months. It was a lot. It was stressful. There was a lot going on.
I mean, you got to worry about all the logistics, like you said, sponsors. Had you done, with the few tournaments you've done around there, had you done any multi-day practice, multi-day tournaments? Obviously, you fished the Opens a decade prior to this, but it's obviously a different game going from maybe a local 1 or 2 day tournament to a multi-day managing fish type of deal.
You're right, but that's one of them things. I think fishing the Opens and just it was in me. I hated fishing at home. I've always hated fishing 1 day derbies. I like being in it for something. I like making it something. I can go fish anywhere in the country on a Saturday for a $1,500 jackpot. To me, the point of fishing at this level is everything that comes with it. And that's something that doesn't leave you. I don't think I remember and I think fishing those couple co-anglers in the Elite Series back in the day before they got rid of them, fishing a couple years as the Opens as a co-anglers and always practicing with guys, and then fishing the Opens for those 2 years, it always stays with you. So immediately, when I got there, that's what when I say I couldn't handle fishing around home anymore. That's why, because it was just it didn't do anything for me. I'm like, I don't want to fish around here. I didn't. It just didn't.
You wanted a challenge. You wanted a bigger challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm getting it. Obviously, look at my stats.
Well, you can't put yourself in contention if you're not there.
Not there, right?
You know what I mean?
That's the thing, dude. I'm like, and like I said, LivScope was so new to me when I came back. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I don't. So I get it. I get it. And I'm very green with it when we go to Logan, and I'm having wiring issues, and it's just it's a mess. And believe it or not, my first, go ahead.
I was going to say that actually had to be crazy. That's what's the thing? The sleepy guy falls asleep for 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you went to sleep in the bass fishing world for a decade. Dude. And I mean, you went from, side scammers just getting big to now you got live forward-facing sonar out there.
I never used side scan before I came back last year.
What?
When I fished the Opens,
I haven't been around that long.
When I fished the Opens, I had an X. I don't know what it's called, and don't quote me on this, but I think it was an X83 graph mount, in dash mount on that I-class I had from Bill or something. It was a 6 or an 8 inch graph, dude. And I got real good with 2D back in the day. I didn't even have side imaging fishing. I just knew, okay, go find shoals and drag them at Erie and shit like that, and do the same thing everywhere. I learned how to fish with I'm very impatient, but I learned how to fish with patience based on that. Like, and that's where I think like a lot of guys now, they'd go out to Lake Erie and spin out in 5 minutes because they don't have LivScope. They'd lose their freaking mind, you know? And it's like, I know that I can go drift a high spot or a point or a shoal with a tube or I do something. I'm sure a lot of people would do it. Like drop shotting to me, I've never been a vertical drop shot guy. I'm a cast and drag drop shot guy.
Oh, that's I
drift drop shot a lot. And I mean, I've caught some of the best bags of my life doing that. And so like everybody was back on a tube at Lake Erie. I was doing it with a drop shot, and drop shot was just really getting big at that point. But so
you still mash on a tube on Lake Erie.
Yeah, and like, see, now it's like you go talk to somebody about dragging a tube, throwing a tube at Erie. They're like, yeah, have fun catching drum all day, and they were right. But then you'll catch like 7 pounders.
Well, you're in the Western Basin too, though.
Yeah, but
might be a little different.
So yeah, it was a lot at once. And but you know what's crazy is when I went in, Logan Martin was my best finish last year. It was the first event I fished. Then I finished like 41st or second. I don't remember. Barely missed a check. But that was also really reassuring to me. Because I went out there, I had a God-forsaken horrible practice. I broke my ankle, fished the entire time. Yeah. So the last day of practice, I've got it. If you go to I think it's on my Instagram and my Facebook. Last day of practice, we had like ridiculous fog. So I put in and I idle out, and you can't even you can't even see your hand in front of your face. So I'm using my graph, and I'm like, I'm going to start scoping, just throw a minnow around out here. And I fished for a little while, and I stepped on my trolling motor. Like my trolling motor had like my bolts were really tight. So I had to step on my ghost to release the cable and all the dew and stuff from the fog. So my right foot is against basically the gunnel on the left side of the trolling motor, and my left foot is on top of the trolling motor. And I step on the trolling motor, go to pull the rope, and my left foot goes straight out, and all my body weight just went straight down, and my right foot had nowhere to go, so it went gunnel, snap. I shouldn't say I broke it, bro, but I felt like I broke it. And that sunbuck was that big an hour later. I waddled in. I hobbled in to freaking Target to get an ankle brace like that afternoon.
Yeah. Fishing is a context.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I about killed Trey last year with a trolling motor.
So the video, I had it on camera. I'm laying on the boat and just going, screaming, and
I'm just watching this in my head.
I'm gonna go watch the video later.
Go watch the video.
If that broke his ankle, I'd have killed you last year. I'd have broke every bone in your body.
100,000%. Yeah.
Ike and Elliot about did more than that to you, bro.
Yeah, for sure. He about ended your whole family tree.
You ain't lying, dude. Yeah. I forgot about that. Thanks for bringing it back up. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, okay. He'll never forget about that, by the way.
So practice was horrible, but I knew what the fish were doing, and I just, I had a real rough first day, but then the end of the day, I kind of found a little loading zone of them. Like they were just staged in a spot, and they were all 13, 14 inches, but I caught 20 in the last hour of the first day. And so I went there the second day, and I busted a limit in an hour, which was I hadn't seen in practice. And you know what? I got 8 pounds. There wasn't a lot of guys really cracking them. There was a few guys had good bags, but that place isn't really a big fish place. And I'm like, if I can go catch a couple 2.5 to 3s, I'm gonna jump. I was on 71st or something after the first day, and I ran down to this bluff bank, and that's a thing in the winter, channel swing bluff, and started cranking, and dude, in 10 minutes, I had caught up 7 pounds.
Did you really?
Yeah. And I was like, dude, these fish I had hit that bank 15 times in practice, different times a day. Because we had just gotten to Logan, and it was the lake had frozen over, and then it flooded. So it was just a mud hole when we got there.
That one was a train.
Everybody was just fishing creeks. And that time of year, I knew how it was going to be won. And if you go back and you watch Will Harkins win, he was fishing a channel swing that went right up against a seawall with a bunch of brush on it. Like, channel swings are the deal that time of year, and especially with the big spots. And I buzzed down that. I caught him, and I'm like losing my shit because I'm like, damn, dude, like you just had a good day. You're like putting pieces together after a whole practice, like, and this is your first event back at this stage in over a decade. I'm like, well, at least you're going. I was super happy, right? And my wife, Jess, I should just call her my wife. She was there, and so I'm really happy, and I'm like, I'm talking to everybody, and I really don't know anyone at this point. Like, I met Louis in practice, and Luis Fernandez, and that was it. And he's like, bro, just go bust 10 pounds tomorrow and go get a check. So I go, and I'm like, you know what? He's right. So I went down, dude, and I hammered that. This is where I messed up. I went to that area, and I fished it all day, and it was like just one stretch back and forth and back and forth. And I caught like a 4-pound largemouth off of a tree that I had caught a 3-pounder off of the day before, and like a 2-pounder the first day. And I struggled to catch 5, and then I dump a freaking like a 3.5 on a Fritz side, trying to boat flip it like an idiot the last like hour of the tournament. Like, what are you doing, boat? Me. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? Just keep running this bank. Go fish where you haven't, dude. It's literally the last cast, heroics. I catch a 2-pounder. I'm like, I got 11 pounds. I'm in a check. Like, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the moment that evening I realized. I always thought that, if you do better than what you expect to take to win, like cash check or to get where you need to be, you'd always get it, right? Well, I come in with 11 something. I'm like, dude, 9.5 was probably going to do good. No, everybody that didn't catch them the first 2 days, Drew Cook, Matt Mollahan, guys who like had 6 pounds going into the day 3, go out and dump 22, 24, 18. I'm like, hey, welcome to the big leagues, bro. Like, what the hell? And like I said, I think I missed the cut by a pound. And
wow.
But I was like, you know what? I looked at her and I was like, I can do this. Like, first one back, like first big event in a decade, like against these guys, and I miss it by a pound. I'm like, I'm all right. Well, then little did I know, shit's about to just, after that, it just kind of, life hit, the reality of where I was at started. And then you're never, there's no such thing as being comfortable in this sport. You can't get comfortable because someone's always going to kick you in the ass. You're never safe, and that's the thing with the NPFL is, there's a lot of times this year I've wished that half the field didn't fish on Saturday. Because I know what these guys are going to do. And
that's a big difference maker when everybody makes that final day cut, because to your point at that first one, those guys only cut 6 pounds the first 2 days, and then they go out and drop a 20 bag, and they can bump you out of that check line pretty quick if you go out there and just kind of maintain what you've been doing. So it, as somebody that watches it, it's exciting because you can make a move. But if I was somebody fishing it,
I'd be like,
I was floating on that check line, I don't want you there. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's where the experience thing comes into it, because it was getting warmer that tournament. And I knew some of these guys that were real shallow water guys were going to show up, and that last day they were checking areas every day, and every day they were getting further along. And it was just like, they just needed that
timing deal.
I think where Drew Cook crashed him the last day, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he caught him on a swim jig, and there wasn't a fish in sight within a mile of there for the previous 6 days. Yeah. But then, boom, there they are, 20 pounds worth. I'm like, then that's experience. That's just knowing what's going on in the lake when you're there, and not getting bent out of shape or getting sidetracked, and just buckling down and staying with it.
Mm-hmm.
What were the struggles you faced mostly the rest of the year? Were you in your own head, or was it just trying to get back into fishing those big multi-day tournaments?
Well, the next two I fished my own way, and they just didn't. They didn't go. Things just just didn't fish. Pickwick, I fished. Or I guess Hartwell was the next one, and Hartwell, I dedicated myself to 3 hours out of 3 days to be able to win that tournament, because I knew that, and people are going to watch this and be like, you're so stupid. But like, I had bites in practice and in the tournament every morning, the first 45 minutes, to where I could have blown, even looking at the weights now, I could have won that tournament by 8 pounds. And I didn't see any other person doing it. And that's an experience thing. They knew that herring spawn was like dying down, and the window to catch them doing it, like they had just done it Murray. Like they weren't coming up in the afternoon and just crashing and
yeah,
like,
it wasn't an all day thing. You had that short window in the morning, and then
but man, I tell you what, there weren't spots. They were all largemouth. And they were big. Like, and my last day of practice, dude, I pulled up on a random one and I caught like 23 pounds in like 8 casts. Like I was shaking. I'm like, dude, if these some bitches are here in the tournament, I'm gonna smash.
Yeah.
And the first day of the tournament, I'm not joking you. It was like a 40-second run. And I just watched boats. I was like boat like 40 something. Nobody went over there. I roll up, first cast. I dump like a 3.5, 4-pounder at the boat. I was jerking for them. Like I had to get my jerk bait in that much water, and they would just choke it. And they wouldn't come up and eat something on top. Like I had to throw like I was throwing a Maverick Rapala jerk bait. And they would smash it. And like at first cast, I like jerked it one time and it just loaded up. And I'm like, well, we're here. So I dumped that fish and didn't check my hooks. I had like 2 bent hooks somehow. I don't know what the hell happened. Lost another one at the boat. Didn't check my line. The next one I have like a 4.5, and I go to boat flip it because he had it engulfed in his throat. And I boat flip him, and I get him like waist level, and the line breaks because I'm throwing that thing in 3 inches of water. Like, so I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So at this point, I've dumped like 11, 12 pounds of fish in like 4 or 5 casts. And I mean, this is how small the window was. Like I pulled out, I took like 6 feet off my line and put another one on. And because I had a deeper one on my other jerkbait rod that I would like, when the sun got up, I would pull off and jerking like 6 to 12 foot with. And I throw it on, and then like I tie it on, and I catch like 2 2-pounders. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, and so at that point, I'm like doing the math in my head. I'm like, I think I had 3 in the box at this point for like 7 pounds, and I'm like, you dumped 2 4+ and like a 3+, and you've got 7 pounds, you have 5.5 and the 2 best in there. I'm like, dude, you'd have had 15, 16 pounds. Well, I think 15 was leading it that day. And I weighed in I had like 11 or 12, I think is what I ended up weighing in. So I was like really excited to go out the next day. Well, the next day I was boat like 115. Well, guess what? That hour is gone when I got there. I didn't have a sniff. So then I think I had like 3. I went drop shot and did that. I fell in the lake the first day on camera. That was like a headline.
I remember that now.
Yeah, I remember that now too.
Yeah.
I just drop shot, and like I gotta stop boat flipping fish. Like I will, like I'll smash one that'll choke a jig, and I'll go down and lip him, but then I'll try and boat flip a crankbait fish or a drop shot fish. I don't know what
I give Trey heart attacks in every
every time.
every tournament.
my decision.
My boat flip.
Just wear the fish out,
Nah.
sit in the seat.
I say that's coming, Trey. Get out of the way. She's coming over the rail, boy.
Just so many mistakes were
You
made.
guys could use nets.
Yeah.
Just use the
Yeah.
Just get out of the way. She's coming in.
Dylan can't use a net on the NPFL
Yeah,
unless
I can't
there's like
use it.
special tournaments up north. They allow them, right? Like maybe once or something. But anyways,
they
keep going.
Yeah.
I will never try to talk you out of boat flipping fish. That's all I'm saying. Don't look for me for that advice.
So I'm like, now I'm in like, I don't even know. I'm in like the 80s because I'm weighing like 3 fish. But I know like that I can, if I get, but that's what screwed you is like, that's the only thing that sucks about that field. And we don't really launch really fast. It's rather nonchalant. You know, I don't want to fraternize the league at all, but it's a little slow. So I'm like, man, and I'm just watching boats. I'm like, fuck, like this is taking so long. I'm sorry, I keep cussing. That's just one of them days.
You're good, dude.
So I'm like, my bite's done. Like and then that's when I realized, man, you really messed up your practice. Like you focused too much on one thing that where I knew it was it. So like once I figured that bite out the first day, I ran 3,000 points to find fish. So I'm like, anywhere I go or wherever I'm at, if someone's here, and then I realized no one's chasing this bite because they're not dumb. They're not like, you know, it just, so day 3 comes and in practice I had, I'm not going to name drop. I'm not going to do that. In practice, I had discussed with a guy what I was doing if he needed to back up. And then he saw me where I was on practice because I told him I'm going to go check some fish. And he saw me. Well, he was there when I got there on the last day of the tournament. And I watched him he smashed him, bro. And this is going to lead into a big thing I want to talk about tonight before we get done. That I know.
Hey, bro, this is your show. You can talk about whatever you want, whenever you want.
But so sitting there watching a guy who you consider trustworthy, I think he caught like 3 or 4 in front of me. He had already caught one. He caught like a 4. And he didn't even fish in practice. He just knew that there was fish there in the morning on that bite. And he was like, he had like a couple pounds the first day, ended up salvaging his season. He didn't make a check there, but it was his only bad tournament. I think he still finished like 40th because he had like 17 pounds the last day. Mm-hmm. Really taught me a lesson. I guess it was probably one I needed to learn. But so whatever, good for him. I took it on the chin because
What a blessing.
yeah. So I took it on the chin because I ain't about to, ruin my reputation out of ill will or bad intentions from somebody else. So I let it go and rolled out. And then, we, that was rough. That was because that was my first like taste of really getting my butt kicked by those guys. I finished like 100 and something. But
you learned a lot of valuable lessons though out of that one, right? Like you learned not to spend your entire practice on one pattern, right?
100%. And the biggest thing I learned is don't trust anyone ever.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't even trust Trey.
You shouldn't.
But here's my problem, and I hate saying that because I want everyone in the world to trust me. But I'm also a very open book, and that gets me, again, burns me a lot. Because I'm the type of guy to where I've known and I've been around and seen, I don't care how you're catching them. How you're catching them is one thing. But at this level, if you don't think that everyone has figured out 90% of how – the only guy there's one person in that 120 guy field I feel that is doing something different. That's the guy that wins.
Yeah.
So in a field of this
John Cox.
John Cox is doing something different too.
Yeah. Well,
Two guys.
he's not doing something different. You know exactly what the hell he's doing.
Well, you know what he's doing, but there may not be anybody else doing it.
Yeah. So what I mean by that is like people get bent out of shape about, hey man, you this guy saw me doing this, or you told this guy this. I'm like, did I tell him where you were at? You don't think these people were going to do that anyway? You don't?
Yeah,
think
it's like you said. If you figured it out, somebody else, at least one of the other 100+ guys and gals fishing have figured that out. You are not unique for the most part.
And let me explain something to you. If they're eating that in one place, they're eating it somewhere else. The difference is, they don't know. Just because I told so and so, if somebody goes, "Hey man, are you catching them on this?" and I'm like, "No, but I know somebody else is." I didn't say where, what you're doing it on. Like, if you don't think that 70 guys in that field got the same damn bait tied on, you shouldn't be there. Because guess what? Yeah. Everyone knows everything at this level. The guy that doesn't is right here talking to you. You know, based on my Santee Cooper finish, and that, it's just, I think there's a lot of trial and error at this level that a lot of people don't talk about. That you're not just going to jump in and kick everybody's butt with, especially now. LivScope, you could if you were good with it. Mm-hmm. But now it's gotten a lot stiffer when it comes to patterns and fishing the seasons right and experience on these lakes and knowing where you're at and knowing what these fish do and how they move based on certain things. Like, that's something you can't just
and that's to your point. Like, LivScope can help cut down some of the learning curve for forward-facing sonar. I'm just saying LivScope is easier. Whatever. But yeah, so forward-facing sonar that can cut down some of the learning curve. But I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, you hear a lot of the older guys talk about how experience doesn't matter anymore, but experience 1,000% matters, because what we just saw at Santee, even if y'all still use LivScope in the league, it wasn't going to help figure out what was figured out. Experience told him where those fish were, like Christie went there because he knew, I can go here, I can find dirty, colder water. My fish aren't going to leave, and I can catch them every day. And you don't know that because of LivScope. No, and the only thing I think LivScope would have helped at Santee is those guys that sat on them grass and sections of grass. They would have either caught them faster or relocated and still caught them somewhere else, because they could target them, individually. But that's honestly, who wants to watch that? Oh, forward facing doesn't teach you. But forward facing doesn't teach you to find the colder water, because your fish aren't going to be impacted by the cold front that's coming through, because the water's already colder, so they're going to stay where they are. And I thought that going into that tournament, because that's what I fished farther north in that tournament than anyone in that tournament, probably by miles. And you was up there. Yeah, and videos. And so like the thing what sucks is there is like that first day, and it was I've had 3 tournaments that I've done really bad in, to where I felt like I was on fish to win, or do really well, and every time I've either not produced on bites that I not. What's the word I'm looking for? Capitalize on bites, or dumped them, or made a dumb decision, or they just completely disappeared and I just didn't figure out where they went. And I'm going to turn my light on. I just realized how dark it's getting in this room. You're good, brother. So I guess if we're going to go back to, what was the next one? Are we going to go through the whole year? We don't have to. No, I mean, we talked, summarize it. We talked your rookie year. You learned a lot of valuable lessons. Clearly, you learned, the right way to practice. For Trey and I talk about it all the time. We have buddies that practice one way, and if that isn't the way they practice come tournament day, they're SOL and they're running around with like chickens with their heads cut off. Where we practice, where we want to have 2 or 3 patterns that we can fall back on, and if the fish move, we have an idea of where they might move to, and it's just a different approach. And there's only one way to learn that. Right. You go out there and find fish, and then when they're not there, you get your teeth kicked in. Like, you're like, well, I screwed that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that's a valuable lesson.
That's what just happened at Santee. So like I was fishing an area really far away.